Okay, so today our math goal is converting fractions, mixed numbers, and knowing that the fraction bar means division. Now, this one is very, very important. So make sure that you really pay really close attention to this one because this one is a biggie. Okay, this is going to help you throughout the rest of this unit. And then when we get to unit 3, multiplication to division of fractions, this is going to help you a lot. Okay, so stop the video, write down your math goal, and write down anything you know. All right, what's my rule? In my inbox, I got 5/4, 8/6, 10/8, 15/10, 16/12, 10/7, 12/6. My outbox, I have 2/10, 1/10, 6/10, 4/7, 8/12, and 3/15. Stop the video and see if you can figure it out. Okay, so if you told me, if you figured out that the numerator in the inbox are bigger than the denominator, you would be correct. We call these improper fractions, all right? So in your math notebook, please write down the vocabulary for this lesson. Improper fraction has a numerator greater or equal to the denominator. Okay, so an improper fraction has a numerator or equal to the denominator. All right, so what's my total? So if you remember from fourth grade math, you know, if the denominators are the same, we just simply add, right? So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. This is 5 out of 4. So this is an improper fraction because my numerator is bigger than my denominator. So I have 5/4. Okay. Another way to look at that is by looking at our picture here. So 5/4, my improper fraction, this is what it would look like if I were to draw it out as a picture. I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5/4. So the 4 tells me how it's broken up. It's broken up into fourths, and I have 5 of them. 1, 2, 3, 4. I need one more, so I got to draw another one, cut it up into fourths, and do one more, 5/4. Or I can do it with rectangles. It's the same thing. The 4 tells you how it's split up. It's split up into fourths. 5 tells you how many you have. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Just a different way to look at it, okay? All right, another way to see that is to see it on the number line or as a mixed number. So stop the video and write down mixed number. Well, you can wait a second because I'm going to have the definition on the next slide, sorry. So why do you think it's called a mixed number? So 1 1/4 is our mixed number. So it's the same one as the picture we had before, because if you count them 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, it's still 5/4. But another way to say it is to say we have one whole because we have 1, 2, 3, 4 out of 4, my 4 out of 4, right? And then the previous one we saw 4 out of 4, 4 out of 4. There's my 4 out of 4, right? So that was my 4 out of 4. That's my 4 out of 4. And so that's 4 out of 4 plus my 1/4, which gives me my 5/4. So just another way to look at it, okay? All right, so there's my 4 out of 4. So remember, 4 out of 4 is the same thing as one whole because the whole thing is I just showed you that. So it's my 4 out of 4 plus my 1/4. So it's one whole because that's one whole and a fourth. So it's 1 1/4. That's the mixed number. So now we're going to write it down in our math notebook. So our vocabulary for a mixed number is a whole number with a fraction. That's all it is. It's a whole number with a fraction. So my whole number, which is the 1, and my fraction was the 1/4. All right? All right, so can we make a whole? So you try this one. Try to make a whole and see how many thirds are left and see what's the name of the fraction, okay? And then come back to me. Okay, so did you make a whole? So if you did a third and a third and a third, right? Put those together. So that gives me 3 out of 3, which equals 1 whole. And then I have a third and a third left over. So in a third and a third makes 2 thirds. How many thirds are left? 2 thirds. So that gives me 1 whole and 2 thirds for a total of 1 and 2 thirds. So you say the word and, boys and girls, after you give your whole. So it's 1 whole. So you just say 1 and 2 thirds. Say it with me. 1 and 2 thirds. What's the total fraction? So the fraction 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 5 out of 3. Okay. All right. All right. Try this one. What's the mixed number? What's the fraction? So write it both ways. Write it as a mixed number and write it as a fraction, then come back to me. All right, so the mixed number is what? 3 1/2. 1, 2, 3 wholes and a half. What's my fraction? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 out of 2. 7 out of 2 is my fraction. All right. All right, what's the sum of the unit fractions? How many ways can you express it? So try it as a mixed number and an improper fraction. So try this one both ways, all right? I know it doesn't say try it, but go ahead and try this one. Pause the video. All right, so one way to express it is simply count them up. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 8 over 3, 8 thirds. Or I can group them. A third and a third and a third makes 1 whole. A third and a third and a third makes another whole. So I have 2 wholes and I have 2 thirds left over. So 2 and 2 thirds. All right, now that we got that down, now we're going to learn how we can convert mixed numbers into fractions and fractions into mixed numbers. So we're going to start with converting a mixed number into an improper fraction. So I have 2 and 3/4 pounds of apples are in a basket. So I have 2 and 3/4 pounds. We're going to change the mixed number into a fraction and into improper fraction, okay? So one way to look at this is to break it down into its parts. I have 2 plus 3/4, right? I have 2 and 3/4. That can be broken down. This 2 can be broken down into a 1 and a 1. A 1 plus 1 makes my 2, and I still have my 3/4. I can break that down even further. Since I have fourths, I know that this 1 represents a 4 over 4. This one represents a 4 over 4, and then my 3/4. Now I just add 4, 8, 11 over 4. So that's one way to do it, okay? This is a little bit longer, but it's one way to do it. And as you're going to find out, I always have shortcuts, okay? That's one way. This is the way I like doing it. So I like doing it using this method. Okay. I call it mad. I'm mad about changing, converting mixed numbers into improper fractions. Mad. Okay. MAD stands for the M, multiply. So you're going to multiply the denominator and the whole. Then you're going to add the numerator, okay? The D stands for denominator. We leave it alone. Multiply, add, denominator, leave it alone. Math. Just having a little fun. Okay, so multiply. We're going to multiply the denominator and the whole. So notice what I did here. I did this here. I grouped them so it made it a little bit easier for you to see. So I'm going to multiply the denominator and the whole. 2 and a 4. 2 and 4 makes 8. And then I'm going to add my 3, my numerator. 8 plus 3 is 11. 11 out of 4. This is the way I like doing it. And this is the way that it's going to be way faster, way easier. So put a star next to that one and write it down. Write down the steps. Okay. So write down your 2 and 3/4 and then write down that we're going to use the mad way. We're going to multiply, add, and leave the denominator alone. I like putting my symbols here so I know what I'm doing. Multiply, add, multiply, add, multiply, add, and leave the denominator alone. Think of it as you're going clockwise. You're going as a clock. You're going in a circular motion. Okay, circular motion. All right. So start with the denominator, multiply, and then add. All right. All right, change the mixed number into a fraction. So either split it apart or do the mad way, okay? Either way, your choice. And then come back to me. All right, so I did it both ways to show you both ways, okay? So first thing I did is I did it the mad way, because that's my favorite way. Okay, so first thing I did, I drew my fraction bar and I put down my denominator, which was 5. I always do that first, that way I don't forget, okay? My denominator is 5, it stays the same. Then what do? I multiply. 3 times 5 is 15, plus 2 is 17, 17 over 5. Or if you want to break it apart, you can. I have 3 wholes. I have fifths, so I know it's 5 out of 5, and a 5 out of 5, and a 5 out of 5, because I have 3 of them. 1, 2, 3, plus my 2 fifths, 5, 10, 15, 17 over 5, okay? 2 and 3/8, same thing. I drew my fraction line first. My denominator is 8, put my 8 down, and then I did my mad multiply. 2 times 8 is 16, plus 3 is 19. 19 over 8, denominator stays the same. Or if you want to break it up, I have 8s, so I have 2 of those. So I have 8 over 8 plus 8 over 8. That gives me my 2 wholes plus my 3/8. 8 plus 8 is 16, plus 3 is 19 over 8. Both ways work. I like the mad way. Multiply, add, denominator stays the same, okay? All right. So hopefully you wrote that down in your math notebook, because that mad way is very important. Or if you want to break it up, by all means, break it up. All right. All right, now we're going the opposite way, okay? Now we're going to change my improper fraction into a mixed number. So before we were doing a mixed number into an improper fraction, and now we're going from improper fraction to a mixed number, okay? So my improper fraction is 9/4. So one way to do that is to break it apart. I have 9 over 4. So I know 4 is my denominator. So I know I'm dealing with fourths. So I have 4 over 4. So I broke it apart into a 4 over 4 plus, how many more do I need? I need 5 more, so 4 over 4 plus 5/4, right? That gives me my 9/4. I'm breaking it apart. This is still an improper fraction, 5/4, so I can break that down even further. So I have my 4/4, my 4/4, my 5/4 that I'm going to break apart again into another 4/4. And so that leaves me with 1/4 left over. So I have a fourth, 4 over 4 plus 4 over 4 plus my 1/4, which gives me, I know that 4 over 4 gives me 1 whole. 4 over 4 gives me my whole, and then my 1/4. So that gives me 1, 2, 2 and 1/4. I can also draw a picture, okay? So I know that I'm dealing with fourths, so I can draw my picture and cut it up into fourths. And I know I need 9 of them. This gives me 1, 2, 3, 4. That's not enough. I need 9, so I got to keep going. I draw another circle, break it up into fourths. I already had 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, Not quite. I got to go another one. So draw another circle, break it up into fourths, and I only need one more, right? Because I already had 8. One more gives me 9/4, and I can clearly see I have 2 wholes and 1/4. So I can break it apart. I can draw a picture. And of course, you know me, got to have a shortcut, right? So shortcuts coming up. All right. So in order to do the shortcut, you got to know that the fraction bar means division. So the fraction bar, let me rewrite this, 9/4 over here. This fraction bar means division. So stop the video and write that down in your math notebook because that's very, very important. The fraction bar means division. Okay, and then come back to me. Okay, so another way to say this is you can say this 9 divided by 4. 9 divided by 4. So that's another way to say this. 9 divided by 4. Okay, so this means 9, I have 9, and I'm going to divide it by 4. Okay, that means 9 divided by 4. Okay, that's what that means. So the fraction bar means division. So now, knowing that the fraction bar means division, then I can simply divide this to get my answer. Okay, so 4 goes into 9 how many times? Right, 2 times. Let me change my color. It's going to mess me up with my red writing over here. So 4, you said 2 times. 4 times 2 is 8. So I'm going to subtract my 8. So 9 take away 8 is 1. I have a remainder of 1, right? So that's what you're used to seeing. That's how you're used to doing these. But I need to make this into a mixed number. My remainder is how much I have left over. So that goes in my numerator. So it's 2 and 1/4. The denominator stays the same. It's always going to stay the same. I had a 4 of the denominator. It's going to stay the same. How much is left over? 1/4. So it's 2 and 1/4. Okay, so that's another way to do this. And believe it or not, this is the fastest way of doing these. Okay, it's way faster than drawing a picture, way faster than breaking it apart. So we're going to try some, okay? All right, so change the fractions into a mixed number. I have 10 sevens. I could draw a picture, but drawing sevens, I'm not very good with drawing sevens. I'm going to be quite honest with you. I can break it apart, or I can do my division, right? Because remember, the fraction bar means division. So this means 10 divided by 7. I have 10, and I'm going to divide it by 7. So go ahead and do it either way. If you still need help, stay with me, and I will help you through this. But try one of these by yourself, at least one, okay? All right, so I'm going to do 10 divided by 7. All right, 10 divided by 7. This is 10 divided by 7. 7 goes into 10 how many times? Right, 1 time. Subtract my 7. 10 take away 7 is 3, which is my remainder. I'm going to do my fraction bar. What goes in the denominator? The 7, because it stays the same. You don't change the denominator. How many are left? 3. So my answer is 1 and 3/7. Now, if I wanted to break this apart, I could. I have 7s, right? So I have 7 out of 7. And what do I need to get to 10? I need 3 more, right? 3 sevenths. So that's going to give me my 10 out of 7. So I had a 7 out of 7, which is 1 whole, 1 and 3 sevenths. So either way, all right? So if you did this one with me, stop the video now and then try this one by yourself. If you tried this one by yourself, then you can continue to play the video, all right? All right, 12 fifths. Remember, fraction bar means division, so 12 divided by 5, 12 divided by 5. Just remember, the common mistake kids make is putting these in the wrong order. The numerator always goes on the inside. Numerator, inside. Numerator, inside. Denominator goes on the outside. Okay, numerator always goes on the inside. So 12 divided by 5, 5 goes into 12 2 times. 12 take away 12 take away 10 is 2. 2 left over. Remember, my denominator stays the same, so it stays a 5. I have 2 left over, goes on the numerator, 2 and 2 fifths. If you were to break this apart, I have fifths, so I can do 5 over 5. I got to keep going. I got to do another 5 out of 5. That gives me 5 10. I need how many more? 2 more, 2 fifths, so I have a whole and a whole gives me my 2, and then the 2 fifths, 2 and 2 fifths. So both ways work. I prefer this way, but if you prefer breaking it apart, whatever. All right. So, what you learned today. So write down one thing that you learned, or two things, right? Because we kind of learned we learned kind of two things. Write down what you learned. Proof of learning by solving a problem. So write your own problem to prove that you learned it. And then if you're not sure, go back and rewatch the video. And then do a reflection. How can you apply this to daily life? Or a question. What questions do you still have about this that I can help you in the classroom? All right.